Hello everyone and welcome to Golden Nova's First Reacts, where I react first to all the things you want to see reacted to first, as long as I'm the first person you come to react to things first. A new set has availed itself, Alliance Insight, the one coming after Supreme Darkness. We knew its name, but now we get to see the first wave of cards out of it, and it appears that Adignister are getting that honor this time around. Yes, Adignister, the theme that is the only one that has a special symbol in it, and was, I believe, the first step towards the gigantic Cyber's pile that we would come to learn to love today. It looks like we've got some kind of big Accode Talker-esque monster showing up as our front slot, and as the cover card, if you peek a little bit down here, let's see what Yusaku and perhaps Eyes combination have to add to our current gigantic pile here. Okay, Wizard Adignister. Okay, so this is already setting off alarm bells because the Adignisters are supposed to be the little blob things, but these ones so far are actually Yusaku's cards being Adignistered, so of course this isn't canon because it's not in the show, but who knows, maybe they're trying to write some stuff that they couldn't get into the actual anime for, you know, reasons. Wizard Adignister, level 4 Dark Cyber's effect monster, 1800 attack, 800 defense. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name once per turn each. If you control a Cyber's monster, special summon from the extra deck, you can target one Dark Cyber's monster in your graveyard. Special summon both this card from your hand and that monster in defense position. Also, you can't special summon for the rest of the turn except Cyber's monsters. That is a lock that is on almost anything that's good in the Cyber's pile, so this isn't necessarily a downside, it's just the cost of entry. And getting it has to be a Dark Cyber, so it's not any of them. That's a link 2 at least, though if you get another level 4, you know, maybe we're making the Light Dragon one, so that's pretty interesting. And you can banish this card from your field or graveyard, then target a monster your opponent controls and change its battle position. I think that's a reference to the original card that this is based on, at least from Yusaku's end. But, you know, battle manipulation is not terrible, as long as you're not dealing with a Link monster. Getting to choose how you deal with a monster is a pretty powerful effect to just tack onto something. Backup Adignister, level 3 Dark Cyber's tuner monster, 1200 attack, 800 defense. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name once per turn. If you control a Cyber's monster special summoned from the extra deck, you can special summon this card from your hand, so same as the last one. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can add a Dark Cyber's monster from your deck to your hand, except a copy of this card, and then discard a card. Okay, so we're not adding card advantage, but we are getting card selection, and card selection is incredible, especially if we do have a discard outlet, which, you know, it's Yu-Gi-Oh! Nowadays. Pick an archetype and you have a card that you want to have in the graveyard for something. Now it's specifically Dark Cybers, which is an interesting thing to focus on because the original pile of Adignisters was supposed to work with every attribute. Now it's only just Dark Cybers, which I'm not sure what that's supposed to lead into, but, you know, there are plenty of good Dark Cyberses, so it's not terrible. Next up is Kurikulink Adignister, folks. Linkuriboh is back. Now, notably, this is a level 1 monster, so despite the fact that we all know Linkuriboh is a Link monster, it looks like they're making their foray into the main deck zone. Is this going to be translated as a Kuriboh monster? I'm not sure how that would work out. Kurikulink. There's no Kuriboh in there. It's got Kuriboh stats, 300, 200. Okay, what does that actually do? You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. Quick effect, you contribute one Adignister monster to special summon this card from your hand or graveyard, but banish it when it leaves the field. Well, as long as it gets banished when it leaves the field, that'll be an improvement over its banned version. When a card or effect is activated that targets a Cyber's monster that you control, and you control a Cyber's monster special summon from the extra deck, as a quick effect, you contribute this card to negate that effect. Okay, so it fulfills kind of a similar purpose to the current Linkuriboh-esque monsters, where you get to bring it out for a certain you get to bring it back for a certain cost, and you contribute it to accomplish something. In this case, targeting protection for your Cyber's monsters, though you have to control one special summon from the extra deck to make that work. But considering that it's a Link spam deck, or really a DDD style multi-type from the extra deck spam deck. That's not too terribly difficult. And there's got to be just like some generic Link 2s out there that are Cybers that can get this online, right? That's got to be a thing. Firewall Saber Dragon. Ooh. Level 7 Dark Cyber Synchro Effect Monster. Okay, so this is a Synchro. I wonder why they didn't let us see the frames on these. That's strange. 2300 attack, 2000 defense. Requires generic material. You can only use the first, second, and third effect of this card's name each once per turn. If this card is synchro summoned, you can target a Cybers monster in your graveyard or banishment and add it to your hand. Okay, so you just get one of those one of the used cards back, or just anything that's just in your either graveyards. Okay. You can target one other Cybers monster you control that has a level. This card's level becomes that monster's, and if this card is sent to the graveyard as link material, you can add an I spell from your deck to your hand. Okay, so that's interesting. So it's level 7, which I believe makes it very easy to make with Bururu is the Wind Adignister. That's a tuner. Beforehand, you were making something like Wind Pegasus, which isn't bad, especially with its graveyard effect. But it wasn't really good at advancing your game plan. This one gets you your material back, which is great because Cybers love just plopping things out of their hand using various effects. And then you have two effects that they don't synergize with each other, but do help pivot into different game plans. This second effect with the level modulation could work with synchroing, but because it matches the level, this seems to be more geared towards doing some Xyz shenanigans, while this third effect is just here to give you a card if you link summon with it. I guess, is it worth it to use two monsters to make a monster that doesn't... So here's the thing, right? Link material is weird because if you take two monsters and you make a link monster, it's generally going to be a link 2. And if you want to make a link 3 monster, if it lets you use less than its like number of arrows that it has, like it could be 2+, you can still use two monsters, the 2 and then whatever you slap on to make the third material. But if you do it with a synchro monster, you want to make that link 3, you still have to find either another link 2 or get 2 other cards together. So is it worth it to effectively make your link monster with an extra material to get an I spell? There's a lot of them in the game, and almost all of them are fantastic. So maybe, if anything, you could revive it and keep getting that bonus because, you know, it doesn't say if this synchro summon card is sent to the graveyard as link material, which is something that a lot of cards like this have that restriction on. Maybe it's also a Firewall card. There might be a lot of bonuses with that. Oh, wait, one second. This card targets any Dark Cybers in our graveyard. So we could get this back with that. Okay, that's pretty interesting. We could do some triggers with that. Okay. Okay, I've spent a million years on this one. Let's do Code Igniter. Rank 4 Dark Cybers. Okay, so we have our Xyz. 2300 attack, 2000 defense. So this is supposed to be a code... It's not a Accode Talker, obviously, because there's no Talker here. But it has the Accode Talker attack stat, so maybe it's supposed to be a play on that. Any 2 level 4 monsters, so it's a generic rank 4. You can use the first, second, and third effect of this card's name each once per turn. First, if this card is Xyz summoned, you can add a Cybers Ritual monster from your deck to your hand. They are just running the gamut on everything here. So we get a Cybers Ritual, which, once again, there are some good ones, including the Leviathan one. I love that one. You can detach a material from this card to ritual summon a ritual monster from your hand by attributing monsters from your hand and or field whose total levels equal or exceed its level. It doesn't let you use material under it, and because it itself is an Xyz monster, this can't be used as tribute material. But it does ritual summon any... It does ritual summon any ritual monster. Oh, that's kind of cute, actually. Just in general, if you have a rank 4 stuff, so you can just be like, hey, this is my ritual Okay. Keep an eye on that one. I think we could see movement on this one. Unless it's a mistranslation and it's supposed to be only a Cyber's ritual monster, in which case this whole thing was for naught. Anyway, third effect, if this card is sent to the graveyard as link material, you can add an eye trap card from your deck to your hand. So that mimics the last one. Oh, this is funny. Oh, I'm so intrigued. Wait, does that mean this is a ritual? No, it's a link monster. Okay. That'd be very funny. Okay. Accode Talker, or Accode Talker, Adignister. So it's both. It's a Code Talker and an Adignister. Link 5, Dark Cyber's Link Monster. 2300 attack. Left, bottom, right, right. So everything from the middles down is a link arrow. You can only use the second effect of this card's name once per turn, though the first one you can apparently use as many times per turn as you want. If this card is link summoned, you can activate this effect. You cannot special summon other monsters for the rest of the turn. Also Oh. Well, maybe not, because if we're limited to no other monsters, then that kind of cuts that off. If this card is link summoned, you can activate this effect. You cannot special summon other monsters for the rest of the turn. Also special summon as many Cyber's monsters with 2300 attack from your graveyard as possible to your zones this card points to. And if you do, this card gains 500 attack for each of them. Oh, that's funny. Okay, when your opponent activates a card or effect as a quick effect, you contribute one link monster this card points to negate the activation, and if you do, banish that card. Okay, so this seems like a combination of Dark Templar and Access Code Talker. So when you make it, it's a soul charge. And I believe all of the Adignisters are 2300, as well as the Code Talkers, so this could work for either versions of those decks once you get to the... it's a 3+, so you are still going to have to invest at least 3. But when you do that, you're getting back a bunch of monsters, and then, like, what if you get 5 of them? That's a 2,500 point boost, so you're looking at a 4,800 attack monster, flanked by a bunch of 2,300. So that seems like an OTK machine if you can pull it off to that degree. But I don't think that's hard, considering the deck that we're playing. So that's kind of a goofy payoff. Yeah. So this is a good going second option, or like anything past turn 1. I still think like the various Firewall link monsters make for way better going first options because they have great negation and punish moves. But this is a game closer, and I kind of dig it, especially because like it doesn't negate the effects of anything that you bring back. So if any of them have any relevant interaction, and think of the co-links you could do. My God, the co-links. So that's pretty nifty. I like this one. Okay, Tails. It's Tails. Normal spell card. You can only activate one card with this card's name per turn. Reveal one Cyber's monster in your hand. Apply this effect based on its attribute. Also, you cannot special summon for the rest of the turn after this card resolves, except Cyber's monsters. Ooh, who would have guessed? If you revealed a dark attribute, one special summon the revealed monster, and if you do, add a non-dark level 4 or lower Cyber's monster from your deck to your hand. Okay, so that gets you all of the goop Adignisters. If you revealed a non-dark one, shuffle the revealed monster into the deck, and if you do, add an Adignister monster with a different attribute from your deck to your hand. So it seems like you really want to be revealing a dark one, because that gets the monster out of your hand and then essentially adds any of these. In fact, the search is broader here because it's not limited to Adignister like with non-dark. This is any level 4 or lower Cybers, and there's... But it gives you an option in case your hand is stuck with non-darks to try and find one. So that's pretty nifty. I dig that. I guess the inclusion of Dark Cyberses here helps with this. Because I don't know if there is... I know I said that there were some good ones, but I did mean some. I don't know if there's a lot of good dark ones. But, you know, once again, it's a gigantic pile. I'm sure some of you in the audience are yelling at me right now exactly what kinds of cards work with this. So once preemptive, let me know down below if this is realistic to trigger most of the time, or if it ends up we're going to have to do this more often than not, which is going to be... sounds like it's a little lame. Let's go... Partners. Partners. Hey, partner. Partner. Normal trap card, you can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. First effect, target face-up cards your opponent controls equal to the number of Cyber's monsters you control with 2300 original attack. Negate their effects until the end of the turn. 2, you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target one of your banished Cyber's monsters and a special summon it. Hey, not terrible. Okay, so this is probably the best target you can grab off of linking off the Code Igniter. And if you do the gigantic revival off of Accode Talker, then you have 6. You have 6 cards to qualify for partners that you can negate cards with. Okay. And then you get a free banished Cyber's revive, which is itself pretty good because there's quite a few Cyberses that banish. Okay, so what's the takeaway from all of these? So Wizard gets you free material once you've committed, and it's a Dark Cybers. One sec, you know what? I don't need to sit here and try to figure out if there's a lot of Dark Cybers monsters in the game. I can just look them up. Dark Cybers, there's 75 of them. Let's go ahead and get rid of any extra deck ones. No, we don't have to, because that's not... We can still interact with our extra deck ones. Access Code, of course, is a big one. God, I don't want to spend this whole time scrolling through 75 different options, but I feel inclined to check to see if Dark Cyberses are actually widespread enough to be used effectively here. Cyber Sage is a dark, and that's one of those rituals we can look out for. We didn't add a new fusion here, but Cyber's Witch and Wicked are also darks, and those get us some really good cards. Don Mari is used a lot whenever you get the big Arrival Cybers. There we go. Which Accode actively makes it so you can't do, if you think about it, because I mean, not that it can't do it, but you can't do it the turn that you summon it, right? Like, you can't get Accode out, fill the rest of your your monster zones with different attributes, and then make Arrival. But it does want you to at least let your monsters stick around for a turn. Maybe you can link them off next turn, free up some room. Doeon, yeah, Doeon is the dark for Adignister, and it's level 4, so it works with Wizard Adignister to make us a rank 4 for that ritual. Meow Mine, Dark Fluid. Oh, the new Firewall support cards. Those are Dark Cyberses. Okay. Fuck Clown. Fuck Clown's a Dark Cybers. Control at least 2 other Cybers monsters and no cards in hand. You can pay 1,000. Well, you would have one with the Wizards, so you have to clear your hand out, so maybe. El Magi Mergy. This has got to be a new one. Gain attack until link monster in your graveyard times 400. During your main phase of this card in your hand, you can tribute to Cybers or link monster special summon this card. Ew, gross. Link Decoder, Leela. Oh, and are the new friggin' Malice cards? How many of those were? I think all of them might have been dark, actually. Oh, that could be nutty. That could be super nutty, actually. Those aren't going to show up here because they're not released yet, but oh my god. Arrival Cybers, of course, here. The Topologic Link monsters are here. Okay, so there's not a huge saturation of them, but you only need a couple of them to be good, and we've introduced a few of them here. So we have the free summon here. We have a search, so we can ensure that we have them. We have an interesting little targeting negate. I'm very interested to see if Saber Dragon will actually see play. It feels like there's like too much, but it is another monster with 2300 attack that's a Cybers, so there's that. Code Igniter, I definitely hope this is translated correctly, because if so, this is kind of huge to have a ritual spell hiding in your extra deck as long as you have rank 4 access is badonkers. Accode Talker is a pretty neat way to close out a game, but you have to be careful. Thankfully, the part that keeps you from special summoning for the rest of the turn is part of the effect, not a condition. So if this gets negated, it doesn't just end your turn immediately. But if you're planning to use this, then you are probably out of other things to do anyway. But you have the option at least. It gives you an Omni Negate to help push through stuff, which I think is pretty good. And then Tails is going to be a pretty good way to get into the right cards. And then Partners is just kind of like... See, the thing is that this is meant to be used if you're going first and you make Accode Talker, but I don't want to do that if I'm playing the pile. If I'm doing that, I'm doing like Firewall, Terahertz, Bumble Bump, or something. So, I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe this still works as like... Maybe the Code Igniter still gets weaved into the lines for some reason, even though it's largely ritual support. And then the lines that give you the big dragon end with like a 2300 attack monster that can go with Partners. I don't know. I'm kind of wishy-washy on the trap card. You know, different days, I'll have different opinions on it. Overall, I think these cards are pretty interesting. I'm not sure what they do for the larger Saber's pile. In general, I think this one, this one helps out immensely as a search card. But I don't know if Accode is a phenomenally better payoff than we already have. Code Igniter I don't think really works because none of the piles really want to utilize ritual monsters. Firewall Saber might be something for more generic builds because this has more random utility, and then we have some pretty good like stepping stone monsters that get us into our extra deck more efficiently. So I've got hopes for it. I don't have high hopes, but I have hopes. Well, I was going to end it there with Adignisters, but it came to my attention that there are also a number of promo cards that were leaked, and well, I might as well cover them together. When else am I going to do it? So these are coming out of the OCG Promo Pack 2024, and we're starting with Festaballoon, a level 8 light illusion monster with 0 attack and defense. You can only use the third effect of this card's name once per turn. If this card battles a monster and neither can be destroyed by that battle, as they should be, illusions have forgotten their true path, and I'm glad Festaballoon is here to enlighten us once again. Second effect, each time a monster declares an attack, this card gains 1000 attack. Okay. During your main phase, you can make this card lose exactly 5,000 attack, and if you do, destroy all other cards on the field. Okay, yeah, that's funny. So, it does not come with a free way to summon it, although there are easy ways to. It is an illusion monster, so we have ways to do that. See, what I like is that it's not mandatory. We don't have to do it once it's 5,000, although I guess I kind of wish it would, in case we wanted to do it during our opponent's turn, but like, it is a board wipe. It just can't take advantage of the attack or the clear field because a lot of its attack's gone. Though if it is bigger than that, then I guess it doesn't matter. So that's kind of funny. Secret Stash Slipshod Squirrel. Secret Stash Slipshod Squirrel. Oh, that's gonna be a tongue twister. Secret Stash Slipshod Squirrel. Level 1 Earth Beast monster, 200 attack, 100 defense. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. During the main phase, as a quick effect, you can target up to 3 spell or trap cards in your graveyard. Banish them, and if you do, shuffle them into the deck during the end phase of the next turn. During your standby phase, you can target one of your banished spell and trap cards and set it. So that's so okay. So what we have here, especially in combination with the art that we have, is a forgetful squirrel. I guess that's where the slipshod comes in, because I'm doing a very good job of it. Is that you bury up to 3 spell and trap cards. That's the banish. This is you burying them. And they get shuffled into the deck during the end phase of the next turn. That's them being in the ground for so long that you've forgotten where they are. However, during your standby phase, target one of your banished spell and trap cards and set it. If you get to it soon enough, then you can get it back out of the ground. That's so... that's so silly. So it's up to 3 spell and trap cards, so you don't have to hit all of them. If you want, you can just do one, and then if this survives during the standby phase, you can get that card back. Although it's unfortunate that it's only during your standby phase, and it sets the card. So if it's a trap card, you're not going to be able to use it. So this should be primarily used with normal spell cards, or, you know, just any other spell cards that aren't quick play spells. Though, of course, if there are spell and trap cards you want to put back into your deck, you can also just banish them just to get them into your deck at the end phase of the next turn. Oh no, shuffle them into the end phase of the next turn, not your next turn. So if you do this during your main phase, then you're going to lose all of them, because they're going to get returned into the deck by the end of the opponent's turn. So you have to activate this during your opponent's turn to get your... one of your banished spell and trap cards. Okay, that's so silly. Okay, Bazoo the Solid... Bazoo remake! Folks, it's every limited format player's dream. Bazoo is back. Rank 4 Earth Beast Xyz monster, 2500 attack, 900 defense. Requiring 3 level 4 monsters as material. That's right, folks, this is Ryziel support. Any Xyz material detached is banished. Oh, okay. So it's not any Xyz material of yours. Just all Xyz material that's detached is banished. Okay. Well, I hope you didn't... Maybe it's not Ryziel support, actually. Because we want to recycle our material. Once per chain, if any number of monster cards are sent to the graveyard, detach a material from this card. Okay. If the last material is detached from this card, you can target up to 3 cards in the graveyard and attach them to this card as... Oh. And none of these are hard once per turns or anything. And it targets up to 3 cards in the graveyards. It doesn't have to be yours. Oh, okay. So the 3 that you put under it is an initial sacrifice. And then every time a monster card goes to the graveyard, you burn through the material. And then, once it runs out, you start taking from your opponent's graveyard, and you start banishing their material. And if they don't want it to be banished, they'll have to kill this thing for it. Oh. Huh. That's kind of goofy. That's not good, but it is goofy. I like its sauce. Okay, Shiteki is a continuous spell card. Discard 1 card, then target a monster your opponent controls that has a level. Roll a 6-sided die and apply this effect based on the result. If you rolled a number that's higher than the target's level, destroy that target, then you can add a monster with the same original level from your deck to your hand. Also, you cannot activate the first effect of Shiteki for the rest of the turn. If it's equal to or lower than that target's level, reduce that target's level by 1. So it's a shooting gallery game where the price of admission is a card in your hand, you discard it and you go to hit it. If your skill level is high enough, i.e. the level of the monster, you pop it, and then you can search if you want to. If you can, because that's with the same level of what you destroyed. Which effectively means it has to be higher than the target's level is the thing. Equal to or lower does not work, so you can only destroy level 5 or lower monsters with a die roll. So if you pop something that has something that matches in your deck, then you get to grab it. And it has to be exactly its level. So, like, if you pop a level 1 monster, you get to search for level 1, that kind of stuff. And then if you miss, it lowers the level by 1, so it's easier to hit in that regard. So they make it easier, but you have to pay again for it. And then, of course, destroying the card is like the prize that you get for winning it. That's so goofy. Especially because, technically, you can keep putting in cards over and over again until you hit the mark on that first one. Okay. It's a nifty card. It's a goof card. I think it does what it means to accomplish, being a really goofy way to enact some carnival game. Which, of course, the sad goblin child arc is just... It's just the fodder for that. Okay, last one. Shadow Trouble. Normal trap card. Target a face-up card your opponent controls. Apply this effect based on the number of cards with that name in your opponent's graveyard. If there is a card in there with the same name, destroy it. If there's two cards in there, banish it. If there are 3 or more, banish it. Also, all cards with that name from your opponent's field and graveyard face down. Okay. So, the more copies of a card, and it's face-up card, not monster. But the more copies of a card someone has, the more I get to do with it. So if they have a copy, you destroy it, goes to the graveyard. If this is their 3rd copy of a card, the other 2 are in the graveyard, you banish it. How would they have 3 or more? Well, there are a number of decks who have monsters whose names are treated as the same as all the other ones. One might remember something like, I don't know, Cyber Dragons. This can really hose if you get a Cyber Dragon. A Harpy Lady. Certain Umis. There are certain cards that are treated as Umi while in the graveyard, as opposed to all of the cards that are always treated as Umi. Those ones will not cause this to overspill, but in a attempt to make the Umi support work, there are a number of cards that are treated as Umi while on the field and graveyard, as opposed to that. So if you are fighting against one of those decks, if any of them get good, you can now side in Shadow Trouble as a normal trap card that can be searched by Labyrinth, or just used by any number of decks. And then you just get to answer every card. Now, thankfully, it does not hit anywhere that's like the deck or the hand. It only hits the field and the graveyard. So if they have a stacked graveyard, or their field has a bunch of them, this is the only thing this hits. It doesn't go through the deck and just deck dev them, which would have been the truly crippling part, and might have been what actually would have made this card playable. Right now, it's just kind of a goofy answer that is probably handled better by more generic support. But this is funny, and I'm glad that we have it, because it's really cool. And also, because this is Freed fighting against the evil Freed, I'm going to take this as personal vindication that Konami is trying to spite me for trying to play Freed as the general in Scarlon's Commander Progression series. And I hate that, because it's the coolest commander that we have, and I'm being bullied by Konami themselves. This is proof. Write it down. Okay, I've extended this long enough. I've talked way too long about promo cards on top of this video, talking about adding nisters. Once again, thank you all for watching this far as I'm going on my goofy rambles. Say a nice thing about Festa-Balloon in the comments, and of course tell me all of your adding nister combos, ideas, disappointments, hopes, dreams, and I guess just some funny decks you would like to use these cards in. I want to see what the Bazoo, the Soul Eater Beast deck looks like. I want to know what shell uses Secret Stash Slipshod Squirrel effectively. I'm craving the knowledge. Let me know down below. Thank you all once again, and until the next time that Konami drops those juicy spoilers, I will see all of you next time. Bye-bye. Today's episode is brought to you by Dragon Shield. Get the sleeves as strong as dragon scales and get 5% off your order by using the coupon code GoldenNova at checkout. It was also brought to you by my lovely patrons, including this month's illustrious Quasar Commanders, Upstairs Media, and Natiel Lee Alexander, Nebula Navigator's 3rd Dynasty, 50 Gigabytes, Ada Basilisk, Adam Zajdel, Owexotoa Hime, Anansi Dragon, Ancient Wizard, Andrew Newman, Battle Axe, Kane Senpai, Chibi Gohan, Christopher Fuss, Clockswork, Comrade Copperbottom, Eric, Frankie, Garland Chaos, Great Big Pillock, Hair Bear, Happy Majin, Harry the Ominous Benefactor, Iron Zero, Iskander 711, Carp, Mana Charge, Marion James E. Picata, Mega Combi is entering the Chrysalis, Millennia Asta, Muse Clark, Orozco 09096, Panther J, Patpoose. Rank 10 Trains! Rebel King Lucifer, Red Eyes Jackalow, RJ the Jank Monarch, the Critic of Innocence, Thievery Coast and the Wizard Moose, Cosmic Crusaders Animasta, Baron Von Titty Sprinkles, Beelzephyr, Fish, Beluga Masta, Blitzwolf, Caesar M, Chaz Ghost, Dr. Reaper, RIP, Eva Padilla, Hike Boyagian, Herbal D, Ignis Heat, the true Draco Slayer, Kale the Dragon, Kiva in Public, Lobomaru 02, Manga Pages, Matt Simmons, Mick Spoofy, Mike, Nitromo, Not Al Gore, Nyx, Obsidian, Pokemon, Rainer Leong, Rhyme Kairos, Shizuka Nijimura, Sophie, apparently, Stephen Williamson, The Legendary Raven, The Phantom Knights of Shitted Pants, The Gene, Tiger X2476, Weasel King of Weaseltown, and Zaldreka, as well as the wonderful Starlight Explorers you see on screen now. If you'd like to help me in my journey to cover all of Yu-Gi-Oh's archetypes, get my videos early, be a part of these credits and other awesome perks, it would mean the world to me if you would check out the link to my Patreon in the description or consider joining as a YouTube member.